Well, how are we doing on the second day? The third day of January. It's yeah. I'm. You would think that being 3 days into something, you would be like, oh, it's third. It's the third, not the second. Feels like the second to me. Now the bad thing of this is I get to go to bed probably here in the next few hours, 2 to 3, 3.5 hours, so I can get up and 7 o'clock in the morning, take the boys to the bus stop so they can get on the bus, go to school, and then I get to come home and sit around and watch some TV till about 8, probably about 8:30, and then I get in the vehicle and I get to drive to the doctor's office so I can go see the eye doctor because this it's still it doesn't hurt as bad as it did, but there's still an issue with it, and you can see my little scar right across here. Uh, I don't say it's a scar, it's a mark goes across there where I got my good old strawberry when I smacked the ground a couple weeks ago. Um, I get like a little mild, I don't want to call it pain, but it's kind of like pain wise. It goes like up through here somewhat. Um, I kind of think maybe I might have fractured like a little small chip or small break in my skull line. I don't know. I just know every so often it hurts. Like I press against the side of my head because it relieves the pain a little bit. Uh, don't know yet till I go to the doctor. So fingers crossed. And it is what it is. Now, my nephew came in last night, probably about 9:30ish, somewhere around there, and he stayed for about an hour. Um, I loaded him up all kinds of goodies and everything else. So that way when he made his trip back to Fort Hood, when he got back there, he could sit around, munch on some stuff, and, just basic little things that I make usually, like I told him, what I loaded up in the box for him, what each one of them was and everything else. Um, and he was like, he asked me, he goes like, well, how much, with this right here, if you was to take it to market, how much would you make off of it? And I'm like, well, by last year's prices, this is about probably 80 to 120 bucks around there. And he was like, I feel loved. And I told him, I said, but by this year's price, it's probably going to be about somewhere about 100 to like 150 to 160, depending. And he's like, I feel even more loved. But I told him, I said, but always every time he comes in for Christmas, since he's been in the military, I try to load him up a bunch of different things and doodads and goodies and stuff like that. And because down there where he's at, everybody likes hot and spicy, and they want flavor, and they want this, and they want that. So I told him, I said, if there's something in here that you don't want, if you want to sell it to them or trade this for that type thing, do what you want to do. It's yours. Do what you want with it. And but his first sergeant, she likes some of the stuff that I have. What he brought in from last year. So I made extra some of that because I know his first sergeant's gonna love it, and he can do some trading with his first sergeant, or try to find something he can get out of from his first sergeant, like a small little bribe kind of thing. It is what it is. Now, me and a buddy of mine, I was talking to him 2 days ago, I think it was. I want to say 2 days ago. I was talking to him, and we both like I was talking to him about some stuff I was planning on doing this year, and he's kind of in the same boat, so to say. But what he's wanting to do is he's wanting to save up a bunch of money and buy him one of those small little pull behind trailers and go up to Maryland, and like just him alone. I think it's called Point Lookout. Go up to Maryland, set up camp there, and just camp for a week and be by himself and fish and be lazy and walk trails and do it. Just do whatever he wants to do for a week. And but me myself, I want it's not that I want. I've been looking at a 14-foot John boat, and if I can swing it without breaking the piggy bank, um, probably sometime this spring or summer, I'll have a 14-foot John boat. Now, I had a 10-footer a long time ago, and we used it all the time, like me and a buddy of mine. Um, but he got a stick up his ass, and he moved off somewhere else, and um, I really couldn't find somebody to really go out on the water like I was wanting to do. And then plus on top of it, it was such a small boat. It was kind of awkward for me and a couple other big people. Um, Not saying it didn't work, but when you have a 350-pound weight limit for a 10-foot John boat, and two parties are 400 plus pounds, yeah, your boat kind of next to the water line a little bit. You know, it makes it kind of, your ass gets a little puckery. So at least this way with a 14-footer, I know for a fact at least me and a couple people can get in that bad boy, and we'll be ready to rock and roll and everything else. But you know, that is if I can find one without breaking the piggy bank and without too many issues. But if I do get one, you better bet your sweet ass my camera or my GoPro, if I get a GoPro this year, which I kind of hope I will, but you know, if I don't, you know, the camera here will be on the water, and we'll be fishing and talking and cutting up and telling dirty jokes and everything else and doing some fishing, and you know, might have some fishing videos for you. And even if we don't have a John boat, there's a place right down the road. It's called Otter Creek. Great big ass creek. It has all kinds of good bait fish type things. You know, I call it bait fish. It's like pan-sized fish. And then there's trout, and there's brown trout, and there's some rock bass, and you know, things like that in there. That's one of the places that we will be doing definitely early to midsummer. And I am going to go to the market as much as possible, but at the same time, I'm not going to do what I've done the past 2 years. I am going to take time off from the market. You know, I might take like 2 weekends. I might just not say, hey, I'm not going to be there. Y'all have fun. I'm going to go fishing, or we're going to go out and we're going to find some root to dig. And then when we do that, then I'll come back for another couple of weekends, and I might take off, say, you know, 2 more weekends or 3 weekends. Hell, who knows? But I am going to have enough stuff to where I'm definitely going to have a better content, so to say, than what I've had in the past 2 years. There's so many things I want to do that basically I don't want to be stuck, you know, not doing anything. I mean, I'm turning 50 this year. I need to exercise, I really do. So I'm definitely going to be going out in the woods, tromping around, get some. Even if I'm walking, moving around, at least my joints won't be sitting here in one spot, going, okay, you're not doing nothing but sitting on your ass. So, you know, even if I'm out tromping through the woods, getting ate up by mosquitoes and ticks and chiggers, you know, so be it. I do plan on making another trip down to the farm. And hopefully there will be some other fun-filled content there for you. There are things that I plan on doing around the yard. Once the yard is done the way that I want it to be done, I can do a walkthrough, and I can show you everything I plan on doing. Well, actually, not plan on, but I can show you everything that I have done, working on doing. One of y'all says, show me the chickies. Well, the chickens are just like anybody else's chickens. They're chickens. I ain't too worried about it as of yet, because sometime between March and May, I'm getting a long run type setup thing, because I'm looking at getting some quail. And once I do that, and I have my run thing set up, then basically I'll show you what I'm going to do with the quail. I mean, I still have chickens and all, don't get me wrong. I'd much rather have quail. They're smaller, they're easier to take care of, you know, you know, and plus what I'm getting is, it's, I don't want to ruin it for anybody yet, but it's crazy. It's kind of it's cool. I like it. I've already priced everything I need to get. It's a little, I don't want to say expensive. I mean, it's like, I'm looking at probably $400 for everything. $400 to me is expensive. Anything more than $100 to me is expensive, because I'm cheap. I pinch pennies. Hell, I can walk down the street, and if I see 2 or 3 pennies on the ground, I'll pick them up. I don't care. They could be sitting in a puddle of mud. I'll pick them up, wipe them off, put them in my pocket. Money's money. Free money is even better. But, that's just how I am, A long time ago, a buddy of mine took a 50-cent piece, a silver 50-cent piece, threw it in the toilet bowl, and made a mess in it, and made the joke of, hey, there's a 50-cent piece in the toilet bowl, and a few minutes later I came out flipping the 50-cent piece, and he was like, man, you're crazy, and I was like, there's soap and water on the wall, what the hell do I care? It's silver. And at the time, silver was like 15 to 20 bucks an ounce. So I was like, this right here, this is an easy 10, 15 bucks in my pocket that's free. And you threw it in there to make it, you basically to drive me crazy to figure out how to get it. Hell, I just reached in and grabbed it. Hell, I didn't care. But, that's how I am, When it deals with precious metals, oh, trust me. You'd be like, oh, I'm going to do this, and it's going to drive you crazy. No, it won't, because I'll find a way to get it, and definitely it'll be in my pocket. But there's so many different things that I'm wanting to do. And there's so many different avenues I want to go towards. Otter Creek has some great trails. They got caves. They got a huge ass creek that runs through them. When I say huge, it's like, I know for a fact from the main bridge to the Ohio River is like, if you get on the inner tube and you float the whole river, it'll take you 3.5 hours to float from where you put your tube in the water till you get to the mouth of the Ohio River. Walking wise, I don't know, hour and a half to 2 hours and 20 minutes, maybe 2 hours and 30 minutes on foot. The float thing wise, it takes longer because you just float like a snail. You just kind of come to a crawl. It's great. Then on top of it, there's places out there. There's an archery range. There's a gun range. Of course, everybody has a gun range, but you can walk out there in these woods, and you can like literally walk right in front of a deer, and a deer look at you like, what are you doing? And it won't bat an eye at you. It's kind of like, whatever. But there's all kinds of things out there, and also. In one of my past videos, it shows the part of the Ohio River. There's a great big barge on it, or something like that, and that is part of Otter Creek. But I mean, there's just so many things that I'm wanting to do different this year than what I didn't do last year, and I gotta make up a year's worth of odd and ends. Because I don't want to spend the whole time sitting on my front porch just talking about things. Because, I mean, talking's good and all to a certain degree. But after a while, you're just kind of like, I'm bored, It's like being in school, If you sit in a classroom, you got a boring teacher that talks in a monotone voice. And it's all he does is, talking monotone. You basically get bored and fall asleep. And you just switch classes or go a different route. But, I don't want to be that person. I want to have a little bit of enlightenment and everything else. Montez has talked about going out with me this year. And I hope he sticks with his word. Because in the past, there's been so many times in the past, he's like, yeah, we'll go out and do this. And it comes to like down to the minutes on the hour. And it's like, oh, well, I can't show up for whatever reason. And I understood some of the reasons why he couldn't in the past. But there's a lot of times, it's kind of like, you're just like, whatever, I don't care anymore. But hopefully this year, he sticks to his guns. And when he says, hey, we're going to go out, we're going to do this, we're going to go out and we're going to do it. And there's so many different things that I want to show people, and I want to, what is like, even plants, like, certain plants in my area that have medicinal purposes or other things other than medicinal that you could have within your neck of the woods and not even know what they are other than just being a weed. I've shown people all kinds of things in the past, like, different things I have around here that it's technically a weed, not the weed you smoke, but the weed in the yard, that basically, you could use it for all kinds of things. And, I want to share more of that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that, there's different avenues, what I should say, is what I'm wanting to take place. And I know in the past, almost all of my videos, when I download it, says, is this kid friendly? And I always say no. And I don't want to say I want to start making kid-friendly videos, but there will be some things that I think kids should know or see that might intrigue them to get into something that basically could advance them to something else. Because when I was growing up, we had black and white TV, we had color TV, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have cell phones. We sure as shit didn't have YouTube. So if you wanted to do something, you grabbed a book, you joined the Boy Scouts, or whatever you saw on TV, you went and did. And, I know for a fact that, when I was like my youngest kid, he turns 15 this coming Friday. When I was his age and younger, we were already out in the woods building, like, I don't want to call them forts, but there was like hutches and like canopy type structure forms, and we built stuff so good that when it piss poured rain, you could stand inside this thing and you wouldn't get wet. You wouldn't get wet from the floor. And we had fun. We'd go out camping in the middle of winter time when it's like butt ass cold, and we'd have fun. And we stay warm, and we went. It was a little cold, and it's it wasn't like super warm in there, but it's warm enough to where you could take your jacket off, because if you didn't, you start sweating your ass off. But things like that. I wanna grab some of the youth and kind of bring them in more towards I hate to use the word agricultural, but something of that nature, of that field, other than let's sit on the computer and play video games. Screw that, because all that's gonna you get to spend your time playing a video game, but you don't learn nothing from it. Say like not to say that the world's gonna go to crap the next 10 years or something like that. If they're out somewhere, say they're out on an outing and they see something like, A, I know not to touch that, or A, I know to grab this, or B, this is one of those things that I saw, I don't remember much about it, but I do know something of it. And that's what I want to do, something like that. Not so much as me sit here and talk about finances or stupid political crap, or he said, she said, and blah blah blah, and cuss like a sailor all the time, because I'm not a cuss like a sailor kind of person. I do, but I shouldn't, and I acknowledge that, and that's one of the things I am going to work on, is to have more of a non-sailor slash truck driver content, so to say. So it is what it is. But there will be some things on here that I know that, you know, it's going to make people uneasy, especially when I break out certain guns or we do certain things, and because they're going to see, oh, it's a gun, I gotta get in my corner because it makes me scared and upset. You know, there's people out there like that. I'm not like that. I grew up with a gun. I grew up in a house full of guns. Grew up in a military family, grew up in a hunting family. Well, my family didn't hunt, so to say, but other people's families that I grew up with as a kid, they hunted and everything else. You know, we shot bows and arrows, we shot BB guns, we shot 22s, we shot M16s. Yes, we shot M16s. You know, we played hard. And that was like a couple of people that I play World of Warcraft with. We have a channel called Discord, and basically you can share pictures and stuff like that. And I shared my 37mm with a bunch of rounds around it, and somebody sat there and they're like, "Well, why do you have that for?" And I said, "Well, I like to play hard." And they were like, "That's not playing hard, that's being like, you know, like psychotic crazy." I'm like, "No." I said, because by the ATF, my grenade launcher is not a weapon, it's a safety signaling device. And they were like, "Huh?" I said, "Yeah, it's a 37mm. A 40mm is used by law enforcement, military. A 37 is used for like the Coast Guard signaling kind of thing / civilian use. You know, it's because it states, you know, splatter, smoke, or gas." And I said, technically, that's not a weapon because by the U.S. Coast Guard and the ATF is a signaling device. And, you know, but, you know, things like that, you know, people, there's a couple of people, they just saw us big and black, and they had the butt stock of like an AR, and they were just like, "Oh," and I was just like, "Whatever, you're a snowflake, just see you bye." But, and even the word snowflake, I mean, that right there alone could trigger somebody and be like, "Oh man, it's horrible, you shouldn't call somebody a snowflake." But, you know, it is what it is. At least I wasn't cussing when I said snowflake. That's the positive side. And there's other things, like my smelting. I acquired some pieces of silver last year that I had planned on making a silver, either a few silver bars or another great big bar. And I haven't done anything with it, and it's still sitting in the side area waiting to be something done with. And I plan on acquiring a few more medium to larger size pieces of silver to melt down to add to my soon to be great big ass bar of silver, which, you know, if I make it, if I make it this year, great. If not, then I'll just keep adding to it till I feel that I have enough to pour a 2.5 kilo bar of silver. You know, it is what it is. You know, I would love to make another bar of silver this year, you know, to video it and everything else like I did that one. But, you know, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But what I would like to, I would love to. I have looked at getting a bigger size smelter, which it really crossed my mind. But I was thinking, you know, I have this one sitting here. It's a 2.5 kilo. I could go get like a 3 to 5 kilo bar, not bar, 3 to 5 kilo smelter, which is, you know, technically it's huge compared to mine. But if I don't have the amounts of stuff to fill it, to make with it, it's pointless. So I'll have a bigger smelter with nothing to do with it, because I'll have the small amount that I have, which technically, if it won't fill my 2.5 kilo, it sure as crap won't fill a 3 to 5 kilo. So what's the sense in spending all this money on something that I already have to, you know, do nothing with? So, and there's other things I'm wanting to do as well. You know, I'm wanting to, I would love to show y'all some of the stuff I have, but I'm kind of on the fence because, I don't know, it's not that what I have will offend anybody. I just don't want a lot of people knowing exactly what I have versus what I tell you that I have. So it is what it is. But there's other things I'm going to be doing this year that's completely different from last year. I already know for a fact I'm going to be taking a weekend or 2 weekends off of a month sometimes, or I might just take 3 weekends, and we're going to go fishing, or we're going to go root gathering, we're going to go tromping through the woods, getting ate up by, whatever bugs and ticks and whatever else, and, that's how it's going to be. There's all kinds of places around this area, especially right down the road. There's a place called Colesburg. Colesburg is a itty bitty town. It's like population-wise of Colesburg is probably 30 people ish, if that. I mean, I'm saying if that, maybe 20. It's a little bitty township, and it's, of course, it's they use like the E-Town post office and all the stores in E-Town. There's nothing there. There's not even a gas station. I don't even think there's even a post office. I know there's 2 churches, but I think that's about it, really. And we used to go there. I used to take my kids down there all the time, swimming in the creeks. The creek is cold. It's an iceberg in the middle of summertime. It's great. It's a great little fishing spot. You can find geodes, you can find little arrowheads occasionally down there, occasionally, not very often. You find always finds a ton of geodes. If you just want to go down there and throw some rocks around, it's a great place to throw rocks. Now, you're right there next to the interstate, which is kind of sucky because there's all kinds of tractor-trailer traffic noise, stuff like that. But it's a nice little creek, and it's crystal clear, and it's clean as I don't know what, compared to most places around here that's, even next to the interstate. It's very, very clean. Otter Creek is going to be one of the main places we're going to be going to. There's just so much to do there. We might, and I say when I say we might, when my kids go on their spring break, one of the things that I was really wanting to do, which I'm not for sure if it's going to turn out the way I had planned it, but there's some changes with my wife's work schedule now. Possibly, very strongly, on their kids' spring break, 2 things is going to happen. A, we're going to go to Gatlinburg, and if I go to Gatlinburg, of course, I'm going to be videotaping and, all kinds of stuff down there. And y'all, of course, there's all kinds of other things on Gatlinburg, but, I'll be making videos of that. Or we'll go down by Mammoth Cave like we used to do when they were kids and hit a lot of the rock shops and stuff like that. Kind of like off the beaten path. And there's places down there that I know there's a couple, I know for a fact there's a couple of videos of this off the beaten path kind of thing of Mammoth Cave area, but there's not that many, and they're really limited. And so I'm gonna go down there and we shoot some videos and of the rock shops and these little side tourist kind of things, and just make a video of that. Just something like that. There's all kinds of things I can do. There's all kinds of small little things that might pique somebody's interest. I'm not looking for tourism, so to say, for people to come to Kentucky to say, I want to come here and go this. I'm just going to show things in my area, talk about some stuff, explain some things, and just kind of go from there, Just kind of do it that way. Now, there is one place, if I can find a link for it, I'll put it in the description below. There's a knife shop. And of course, everybody has shops like, all these places. Like I even hate to even say this one place, which is Frost Cutlery. Frost Cutlery is like the the cheapest of the cheap of the cheap of the knife. You know, oh, it's a great deal because it's like dirt cheap and it's a good quality. And it's a good quality until you use it and then it falls apart, tears up, or it ain't worth the crap. But one of the knife shops up here by me is called Red Hill Cutlery, and they actually have the world's largest pocket knife. And when I say world's largest, because there's a blade on it that actually you can, well, it takes a crane to close it, but you can actually close it and open it up, and there's you know, there's like, I think there's 2 blades on it, like a jackknife or something of that nature, and it's huge. It sits up on the side, but it's actually a functionable knife, but it's so damn big. It's you know, unless you're King Kong or Godzilla, you know, it's pointless. But Red Hill they have quality, and when I say quality, I think the cheapest knife in there is one I bought myself like a year ago, and it's called a hobo knife. And basically it looks like a regular pocket knife, got a spoon, a fork, and a knife, and of course you gotta twist it a certain way to break it apart to use the fork and the spoon and the knife, and then you put it back together, you know, after you wash it off and everything, put it back together, and it looks like a knife, one complete thing. I think I paid like 25 bucks for that knife. And that was the cheapest thing. But it's made in Germany, and it's made of a high quality steel, and it has wood sides on it. And it's not, I didn't pay that much for it, but in actuality, it should have been like $100 knife. But I only paid like 25 bucks for it. But they have all kinds of stuff in there. I mean, everything from a pocket knife that's about this big to like a dwarven double-sided bladed barbarian style axe that's made for outdoor use. It'll cost you like 700, 800 bucks for this double bladed thing, which it looks badass, but I couldn't spend that much money on something to carry on the woods, you know, to get dinged up and scratched up. But there's people that do it, but you know, it is what it is. So like I said, I'll leave a link below. It's called Red Hill Cutlery, and they have all kinds. I think they have an online store. I'm pretty sure they have a catalog, but I'm not for sure. I don't remember exactly. But like I said, I'll leave that description down below. I'm going to shut up. Y'all have a great night, and I'll probably see you all sometime between now and maybe this weekend. So, good night, and have a great one.